Welcome to Speak English with me.
Improve your vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation with our engaging lessons.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Speak English with me. I'm Sam.
And I'm Emma. We're so happy you're here because today's topic looks small on the surface, but it causes confusion for English learners all over the world.
It really does. I've met learners who can have a 10-minute conversation about work, travel, or family without many problems, but then they stop in the middle of one sentence because they're wondering, should I say bring or take? Suddenly, their confidence disappears.
I know that feeling. It's frustrating because both words seem so simple. They're short, they're common, you hear native speakers use them every day, yet when it's your turn to speak, your brain starts asking too many questions.
And then you start guessing.
Which usually leads to even more confusion.
The funny thing is that many learners tell themselves, I'll just avoid those words. They replace them with something else.
I've heard that too. Someone might say, can you carry this? When they really mean, can you bring this? The sentence isn't wrong, but it isn't the most natural choice.
Today's episode is going to change that. We're not going to memorize long grammar rules or complicated charts. Instead, we're going to imagine real situations, tell stories, and listen to conversations that people actually have.
By the end, you'll have a much stronger feeling for these two words. That's what we want. Not just remembering a rule for 5 minutes, but developing an instinct that stays with you.
And before we jump in, if you enjoy learning English through real conversations like this, don't forget to subscribe to Speak English with me. Every episode is designed to help you sound more natural and more confident, one conversation at a time.
We love having you here, and it's wonderful knowing that people from so many different countries are learning together with us.
So, Emma, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Have you ever used the wrong word?
More times than I'd like to admit.
Really?
Oh, yes. Years ago, I was chatting with a friend who had invited me to dinner. She sent me a message saying, could you bring some dessert?
Nice and simple.
You would think so. I read the message quickly, and somehow my brain turned bring into take. I arrived at her house empty-handed because I thought she already had dessert and wanted me to take some home afterwards.
Oh no.
She opened the door with the biggest smile and said, where's the cake?
That's one of those moments when you wish time would stop for just a second.
I felt embarrassed, but then we laughed about it. She ordered ice cream instead, and the evening turned out to be great. Still, I never forgot that little misunderstanding.
Those moments stay with us because emotions help us remember. That's another reason we like teaching through stories. When something makes you laugh or reminds you of your own life, it becomes much easier to remember later.
That's true. I can still picture her standing at the front door expecting a chocolate cake.
I wish someone had taken a photo.
Please don't encourage that idea.
Too late. It's already in my imagination.
Thanks, Sam.
You're welcome. What about you? Have you ever mixed these words up?
I have, but my story happened while traveling. I was staying with some friends for a weekend. On the first morning, one of them looked at me and said, could you take these towels upstairs?
Sounds easy enough.
That's what I thought. 5 minutes later, I came back downstairs carrying the towels.
Wait, you brought them back?
Yes, I completely misunderstood. I thought they wanted me to show them the towels downstairs first.
That's brilliant.
My friend looked confused and said, why are they still here?
I can imagine everyone trying not to laugh.
They didn't even try. The whole room burst into laughter.
At least it became a memorable English lesson.
It did, and that's something we want to share with everyone listening today. Making mistakes isn't proof that you're bad at English. It often means you're using the language, experimenting, and learning.
I wish more learners believed that. Sometimes people stay silent because they're afraid of saying one wrong word.
Meanwhile, native speakers make mistakes too.
Every single day.
We forget words, mix up names, start one sentence and finish it another way. Language is wonderfully messy.
That's such a comforting thought.
Here's another interesting thing. Learners often think bring and take are opposites they have to translate from their own language.
And that's where the trouble begins.
Because many languages don't use these words in quite the same way.
So instead of translating, we're going to build a picture in your mind. Imagine you're watching a little movie. People are moving from one place to another. Someone is arriving, someone is leaving. Once you begin seeing those little scenes, the words become much easier to choose.
I love that approach because our brains remember pictures better than long lists.
Let me give everyone a tiny example.
Go for it.
Imagine you're sitting at home. Your friend calls and says, "I'm coming to your house."
That's our situation.
Now you say, "Can you bring your guitar?"
Because the guitar is coming here, to the place where you are.
That's it. Now imagine you're getting ready to leave your house and visit your friend.
Different picture.
You say, "I'll take my guitar."
Notice how we're not asking anyone to memorize a complicated definition. We're simply changing where the movement is happening.
That's why visualizing the situation is so powerful.
Throughout today's conversation, we'll keep coming back to that idea with lots of different examples until it starts feeling natural.
And don't worry if you still feel unsure at this point. If you've struggled with these words for years, you're not supposed to master them in 5 minutes.
Learning English isn't a race.
It's more like collecting little moments of understanding, one conversation, one story, one useful phrase at a time. Before you know it, you're speaking with much more confidence than you ever imagined.
You know, Emma, there's something I've noticed after talking to English learners from different countries. The biggest problem isn't that they don't know the words bring and take, it's that they pause because they start analyzing every little detail.
I agree. Sometimes they're halfway through a sentence and suddenly they think, wait, which one is right? That tiny moment of doubt is enough to interrupt the whole conversation.
So let's make life easier. Whenever you're unsure, don't ask yourself which word comes first. Instead, ask one simple question. Where is this thing going?
I love that question because it immediately gives your brain a direction. Once you know the direction, choosing the word becomes much easier.
Let's imagine I'm at work and I send you a message. I write, "Emma, can you bring your laptop to the meeting?"
The meeting is where you are or where we're both going to meet. My laptop is moving toward that place, so bring sounds natural.
Now let's change one detail. We're finishing the meeting and I say, "Could you take the projector back to the office?"
This time, the projector is moving away from the meeting room and toward the office, so take fits perfectly.
Did you notice something?
We only changed the destination. Everything else stayed the same.
That's why memorizing random sentences isn't as helpful as understanding the picture behind them.
Let's make it even more practical. Imagine you're visiting your parents for the weekend.
My mom would already have a long shopping list waiting for me.
I can believe that.
She'd probably call and say, "Can you bring some fresh bread when you come?"
Because you're traveling to her house with the bread.
Then, after lunch, she smiles and says, "Take some homemade cookies with you."
Now the cookies are leaving her house with you. One family visit gives us both words naturally.
That's why listening to complete conversations is so valuable. Words rarely live on their own. They live inside situations.
Here's another one. You're having dinner with friends and someone realizes there aren't enough chairs.
Someone looks at me and says, "Could you bring another chair over here?"
You're moving the chair toward the group.
When the evening finishes, another friend says, "Can you take the chairs back to the garage?"
Same chair, different direction.
And suddenly, the choice feels much less mysterious.
I remember helping my neighbor move into a new flat a few years ago. Everyone was carrying boxes and people kept shouting different instructions.
That sounds a little stressful.
It was, but it was also a great English lesson. One person shouted, "Bring the small boxes into the living room." A few minutes later, someone else said, "Take the empty boxes downstairs."
Real life gives us the best classroom.
It really does. Nobody stopped to explain the grammar. People simply used the word that matched the situation.
Here's something learners often ask. They say, "Can both words ever appear in the same conversation?"
Oh, absolutely. Imagine this. Your friend phones you before a picnic.
"I'm bringing sandwiches."
Then you reply, "Great, I'll take some drinks."
Later, when everyone is packing up, someone says, "Can you take the rubbish to the bin?"
And another friend notices you've forgotten your jacket.
Don't forget to bring your jacket home.
One afternoon, 4 natural uses. No complicated explanation needed.
I think that's an important point. You don't become confident by reading one grammar rule 20 times. You become confident by hearing the words in different situations until they start feeling familiar.
It's a bit like recognizing a friend's voice. At first, you pay attention. After a while, you don't even think about it.
Let's give everyone a quick challenge. Here's today's question for you. If you're visiting a friend's house tonight and they ask you for one thing, what would they ask you to bring? And when you leave their house, what might you take home? Think of your own answers and say them out loud.
That's one of the fastest ways to improve. Don't just listen to us. Put yourself inside the situation and create your own examples. The more personal they are, the easier they'll be to remember.
I think this is a good moment to look at situations where learners hesitate the most, because that's usually where confidence disappears.
I know the feeling. Sometimes the simple examples make perfect sense, but then real life becomes a little more complicated. You're speaking quickly, someone asks you a question, and suddenly you're wondering which word sounds natural.
Let's start with phone calls, because that's where these two words appear all the time.
Good idea. Imagine I'm at home and I call you.
My phone rings.
I say, "Hi Sam, I'm making pasta for dinner. Could you bring some cheese when you come over?"
Since you're coming to your house, the cheese is moving toward you. I'd probably answer, "Sure, I'll bring some."
Now imagine dinner is over and I realize you've left your headphones on the table.
That happens more often than I'd like to admit.
I call you again and say, "You forgot your headphones. I'll bring them to your office tomorrow."
Because you're coming to me with the headphones.
But if you decide to visit my house the next day instead, I might say, "Great, I'll keep them here and you can take them when you leave."
Same headphones, different situation.
That's why context matters so much.
Shopping is another place where these words appear naturally. Picture this. I'm going to the supermarket, and before I leave, my sister calls me.
I already know what's coming.
She says, "Could you bring some milk home?"
She's waiting at home, so the milk is coming to her.
After I get back, she starts cooking and notices she's borrowed a mixing bowl from the neighbor.
She says, "Can you take this bowl back after dinner?"
The bowl leaves our house and goes back to the neighbor. You could almost watch the journey in your mind.
That's a great habit for learners. Instead of translating from your first language, imagine the object traveling from one place to another.
Here's another situation that catches people by surprise. Offices.
Oh yes, offices are full of little requests.
Imagine your manager walks over and says, "Can you bring these reports into the meeting room?"
You pick them up and move them toward the meeting.
After the meeting, someone says, "Please take these files back to the cabinet."
Same files, new direction.
Notice how nobody stops the meeting to think about grammar. The words come naturally because everyone understands where the files are going.
That's what we're trying to help our listeners achieve. We want these choices to become automatic.
Let's make it a little trickier.
I'm ready.
You're visiting your grandparents. Before you arrive, your grandmother sends a message saying, "Don't forget to bring your camera."
She wants the camera to come to her house because she wants family photos.
Later that evening, she smiles and hands you a bag of fresh fruit from her garden.
Then she says, "Take these with you."
I don't know why, but grandparents always have something to send home with you.
Mine never let me leave empty-handed. I'd arrive carrying one small backpack and somehow return with bags of food, homemade jam, vegetables, and leftovers for the next 2 days.
That's such a universal experience.
It really is.
Let's look at one more situation. Imagine two friends are planning a day at the beach.
One friend says, "I'll bring the beach umbrella."
The other replies, "Perfect, I'll take the football."
Later, when it's time to leave, someone notices a towel lying on the sand.
Don't forget to take your towel.
Then another friend says, "Could you bring the cooler over here before we pack everything?"
During one afternoon, both words appear naturally because people are constantly moving things from one place to another.
I also think learners sometimes worry too much about making a tiny mistake.
I agree. If you accidentally use the wrong word once, most people will still understand what you mean.
Communication doesn't suddenly stop because of one small error.
The goal isn't perfection. The goal is speaking comfortably, learning from experience, and becoming a little more confident every week.
And here's something encouraging. The more conversations you have, the less you'll need to think about these words. They'll slowly become part of your natural English, just like hundreds of other expressions you've already learned.
Before we finish today's conversation, let's put everything together with a few real-life situations. Don't worry about answering immediately. Just listen, picture the scene, and see which word feels natural.
I like this part because it's where everything starts coming together. Instead of thinking about rules, you're simply following the story.
Here's the first one. You're having a birthday party at your house. Your friend sends you a message that says, "I'm leaving now. Do you need anything?"
I'd probably reply, "Yes, please bring some ice."
Because the ice is coming to your house.
A few hours later, the party is over. There are lots of unopened drinks left.
You smile and say, "Please take a few bottles home."
The drinks are leaving my house with my friends.
Nice and simple.
Let's try another one. Imagine you're staying in a hotel. Before you leave your room, you notice you've forgotten your room key.
That happens to me more often than I'd like to admit.
You go back, pick it up, and later, when you're checking out, the receptionist says, "Could you take your luggage to the taxi while I finish the paperwork?"
My suitcase is moving away from the hotel reception and towards the taxi.
Then the receptionist notices you've left your passport on the counter.
That's never a pleasant moment.
They call after you and say, "Sir, please come back. You forgot your passport. I'll bring it to the door."
Suddenly, you've heard both words within 30 seconds.
And both sound completely natural because the direction changes.
Let's imagine another situation. You're studying with a classmate at the library.
We've been working for hours and it's nearly lunchtime.
I realized I left my water bottle on another table.
I offer to help and say, "I'll bring it to you."
After lunch, we finish studying and I say, "I'll take these books back to the shelves."
Again, one object comes towards someone while another moves away to a different place.
That's why we kept asking the same question throughout today's episode. Where is the object going?
If you can answer that question, you've already solved most of the puzzle.
I also want to mention something that can make your English sound more natural. Native speakers often use these words in everyday expressions.
That's true. For example, someone might say, "Bring your ideas to the meeting."
They're not carrying ideas in a bag.
No, they simply mean come prepared and share your thoughts.
Or a manager might say, "Take your time."
Nobody is carrying time anywhere. It's an expression that means there's no need to hurry,
Another common one is "take a seat."
which simply means please sit down.
And parents often say, "Bring me your homework."
They're asking their child to come over with the homework so they can look at it together.
The more English you hear, the more these expressions become familiar.
That's one reason podcasts are so useful. You hear vocabulary inside real conversations instead of isolated sentences.
Before we say goodbye, let's have one final challenge.
This is your chance to check how much you've learned.
Imagine tomorrow is Saturday. You're visiting your best friend. Think about 3 things you might bring.
Maybe you'll bring a cake, a board game, or a birthday present.
Then imagine you're leaving your friend's house.
What might you take home? Maybe your jacket, some leftovers, or a book they lent you.
If you can create little stories like these every day, you'll build confidence much faster than simply memorizing a list of grammar rules.
And don't worry if you still make an occasional mistake. Every confident English speaker has reached this point by making hundreds of small mistakes, noticing them, and gradually improving.
Progress doesn't happen because you're perfect. It happens because you keep speaking.
So the next time you're about to use bring or take, don't panic. Picture the situation for a second, notice where the object is going, and let that guide your choice.
Before we finish, let's have our word tour.
Our first word is direction. It simply means the way something or someone is moving.
Next is toward. If something moves toward you, it's coming closer to where you are.
Then we have away. If something moves away, it's leaving one place and going somewhere else.
Another useful word is deliver. It means to bring something to a person or a place, like a package or a letter.
We also used borrow. When you borrow something, you use it for a while and plan to return it later.
And finally, context. Context is the situation around a word or sentence that helps you understand its meaning.
We hope today's conversation has helped you feel much more confident using bring and take. These are small words, but they appear in everyday English again and again, so mastering them makes a real difference.
Thanks for spending your time with us today. Keep listening, keep speaking, and keep enjoying the journey of learning English.
Take care of yourselves, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again very soon in another episode of Speak English with Me. Bye, everyone.